and 2006 presidential elections, Gaddafi supported Museveni to carry out his campaigns. Their relationship seemed so strong and unbreakable, but that was not the case till the end. What actually prompted Museveni to pull down Gaddafi? We shall examine this in two main parts, which are Western interests and Muhammad Gaddafi's ambitions. As you might already know, Muhammad Gaddafi is the highest person talked about each time the idea of a United States of Africa has been raised.
His ideas for African unity involve the creation of a United States of Africa.
Just like Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana. Gaddafi poured a lot of effort into the quest for African unity. During a summit held in 1989, Gaddafi succeeded to convince 45 heads of state to approve the creation of an African Union, which replaced the Organization of African Union. For more than 10 years after this, Gaddafi stood as the most popular advocate for this union. Still, in 1989, he came up with the idea of the United States of Africa, which he envisaged will have a single currency and military. The African Union, according to him, was to be used as a facilitator for this dream of his. Roughly 15% of the money used to finance projects of the African Union came from Libya during Gaddafi's reign. This, however, was a scary idea to Western powers and some African leaders, who thought this will distort their prestige, influence, and position in the continent. The idea brought division among African leaders on the matter. Surprisingly, Yoweri Museveni was also against this idea. Museveni was a man that Gaddafi had helped a lot in the past and even made him gain much power in Uganda. He had invested a lot in his country and backed him in times of need. Why did Museveni disagree with Gaddafi's idea of creating the United States of Africa? First, it was a threat to his grip on power in Uganda.
So I'm aware of Mr. Gaddafi's approaches and efforts to get a foothold in your part of Africa and all. And I just like to intervene and caution.
He appreciated Gaddafi's take in a flattery manner, but did not actually fight for the course. He refused to be ruled by another leader. It will either be him or no one else. Secondly, Museveni's power was becoming much felt in the region, and in this position, he served the interest of the West through military actions in countries like Somalia. He also provided intellectual support to the CIA leaders.
Mr. President, I started fighting Gaddafi before you started. What? I started fighting Gaddafi before you started.
With this, he prioritized the interest of the West before those of his African compatriots. When this decision was finally tabled in an African Union meeting in Accra, Ghana in 2007, Museveni fiercely shot it down. He feared that supporting the idea of African unity will create problems between him and the Western powers. He was aware that these people kept him in power and could oust him from there at any moment. Museveni was also afraid that, upon betraying Gaddafi, he will face some difficulties in his military and financial whereabouts. He knew so well that resisting Gaddafi was far easier than resisting the West. The betrayal of Gaddafi was accelerated by Museveni's reactions. On June 13, 2008, during his son's graduation in the United States, Museveni expressed his consent to the Assistant Secretary General of State for African Affairs, Jende Fraser. He said he did not deem a united Africa necessary due to linguistic and cultural differences. He went further to say that Gaddafi bribed small African countries to support him and made it difficult for them to speak out during African Union and other international meetings. Museveni noted that tensions with Gaddafi, which kept growing, will result in an attack on his plane while flying over international space. He requested help from the United States of America, which he did receive. Gaddafi was not so worried about Museveni's relationship with America, but his popularity in Uganda. When Gaddafi paid a surprise visit to Uganda in 2008, Museveni's government saw it as a plotted attack on their president. During a 37-minute talk at an Arab youth event in Uganda, Gaddafi switched talk and said that he wanted now to work with traditional leaders and not elected presidents to achieve his plans for the United States of Africa. In 2009, he brought together some African traditional leaders to discuss the unity of the continent. When this came to Museveni's notice, he blocked Ugandan traditional rulers from attending the meeting. Museveni had convinced Gaddafi that the United States president at the time, George Bush, removed sanctions on Libya and will carry out investment in his country if he destroyed his weapons of mass destruction. After talks with some British diplomats, Gaddafi was told that Museveni had sold him alive.
Declare and then to begin to dismantle the nuclear program and the chemical weapons program. You said at the time that Libya expected some enormous benefit, a very real benefit. And many people in Libya say they're still waiting for that benefit. What is Libya waiting for? What do you expect from the West?
I don't believe America fulfilled its commitments and pledges vis-à-vis Libya regarding this point. We have been told that President Bush is a man that honors his own word, and so far we are not so sure of that.
What specifically are you waiting for the U.S. to do? What complaint do you have with President Bush?
This was Gaddafi's greatest mistake that led to his downfall. He did not own a strong nuclear weapon that could neutralize NATO forces. Museveni since then has been trying to step into Gaddafi's shoes to champion African unity in finance and security. He is strong in some areas, but he lacks the charisma and financial power to carry out this project. He might not be supported even if he achieves this. Even the West will not, because it is the same reason they fought Gaddafi. In 2021, during one of his speeches, Museveni mentioned that the plans of the Western powers were narrow ones, and surprisingly, these are the same people that he had sold Gaddafi to. The mosque, which was built in Uganda and named the Gadaffi Mosque, was renamed 2 years after his downfall to appease their government.
Now, close to 2 years after Gaddafi was killed, the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council has dropped the name to appease the current Libyan government.
The only thing Museveni could have done was not to blackmail Gaddafi, because he was the only African leader he feared most. It is certain that when Museveni's time to drop power will come, no one will be there to save him. That's where we round off the video on the man who betrayed Muhammad Gaddafi. Hope you enjoyed watching it. Leave a comment in the box below to tell us your mind on this finding, and before we take leave of you, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss any of our interesting content. Thank you for watching, and see you in our next video.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, follow, share and like our video. It's the best way of supporting us.